This week's podcast is sponsored by Mama Shango's Necromancy Oil. Bring your muscles back from the dead with Mama Shango's Necromancy Oil. Now on to the podcast.
The following match is for the PCW Tag Team Championship. Coming down the aisle, weighing in at none of your fucking business, the men of 2,000 holds, Natal and Steve!
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 28 of Podcast Championship Wrestling with your hosts, the Podcast Tag Team Champions of the World, the men of 2,000 holds, Natal and Steve. How you doing today, Steve?
I'm pretty floored. I just realized it's episode 28.
Episode 28. I thought you were floored because we are on our way to Fastlane. I thought you were just making like a card reference in regards to like the WWE.
Oh, no, it was totally that too. That's brilliant. Yeah. I like it.
I love it because it came from you. Let's go right into NXT because NXT right now is the best part of the WWE. You know, it does feel like its own separate brand. We've got to remember it is the minor leagues.
Yeah. So. It's still under the WWE umbrella, but it's still always fun every week, man.
And one of the main components of NXT that I love is their tag team division, and it keeps getting stronger and stronger every week. And I definitely give most of the credit to Jason Jordan and Chad Gable, who finally got together and came up with a great name for their tag team, which is American Alpha.
Yeah, I enjoy the two of them a lot, and I kind of agree with what you're saying about the tag division and like how they are kind of the more exciting element of it. It almost makes you forget about guys like the Vaudevillains, and as much as we love Enzo and Cass, it's really about Jordan and Gable.
Yeah, right now.
Right now, where like you almost kind of forget about them, and then they show up on TV, and you're like, oh yeah, they're awesome.
Yep.
But yeah, they're a lot of fun. They have a lot of chemistry. They work well in the ring together, and I think what they're doing storyline wise with the team right now, like trying to like make their mark by beating former NXT tag champs, is cool.
And they've done it. They've beaten 3. So this past week on NXT, they wrestled Blake and Murphy because the first team they beat was the Vaudevillains. Then they wrestled the Ascension and beat them. And then they wrestled Blake and Murphy and beat them. So they got 3 prior tag teams under their belt. You said the only ones they haven't wrestled against were the Lucha Dragons and Neville and
Graves and the Wyatts that I know of. I don't actually know of any other NXT tag champs prior to that, but I mean some of them they just can't wrestle right now, so it's still pretty impressive. 3 former champs. It makes a great argument and story going forward, like why they should be the number 1 contenders. It's cool and something different. Like the team themselves went out of the way to do this. It wasn't just like, a number 1 contenders match or whatever. Like they were just like, we keep saying we're the best, we gotta prove we're the best by beating the former bests. And I think it works out really awesome.
It's really great. It really does gel with their type of characters. I mean, they're fantastic. They meld so well together. It's comedy. They get pumped. I'm excited every time I see them on the screen. It's always something to look forward to. They cut really good promos every week.
Yeah. They're always so much fun. And the match with Blake and Murphy was just kind of there for me.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was like fantastic, like nothing where it's just like you need to watch this match. But again, it advances their story of them beating former tag champs. So I'm fine with that.
I hope they keep going down this route, but I hope they don't go for the titles already. I hope they wrestle other tag teams, or maybe they wrestle against Dash and Dawson and lose, and it kind of sets them back. Because honestly, I don't want them to win the titles yet because they don't really need the titles to give them any type of significance, in NXT. The crowd loves them.
Yeah, you could hear the crowd. They love them. They're very entertaining on their own. It doesn't seem like the Enzo and Cass story's done with Blake and Murphy either, so it's like, well, what do you do? Do you fit them into that story? Do you let the Enzo and Cass story play out with them? So it'll be interesting to see where they go with the tag division, but it's fun. It's a lot more interesting than the main roster where you're like, all right, you got the New Day and then whoever they throw at them.
Yeah, pretty much. Whoever they throw at them just so they could, put the title on the line and defend it. And it's great because NXT has such a huge roster of tag teams that I don't know where they could go with this, because I wouldn't want Enzo and Cass to win the titles off of Dash and Dawson and then automatically American Alpha just beats them.
Yeah.
Because Vaudevillains had a run like that, and it was a really crappy run for the Vaudevillains.
Yeah, it was a shame because we were so pumped for them to do it. I mean, not even just because we were there, but just the story was being told really well with the Vaudevillains, where you were just like, yeah, we want to see them win the title, and then when they finally won it, it was just kind of like, meh.
Yeah.
Dash and Dawson thing has been working out pretty well. I mean, we haven't seen them on TV too much lately, but like right off the bat when they won the title, they were, shown to be a pretty dominant tag team, and they had a couple cool like sit-down interviews with them. But that's the way it works on NXT. They spotlight for a little bit, then kind of like move on.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. That's why we keep saying, like, where's Finn Balor? Like, we never see Finn Balor. But the tag division's great. I'd like to see that. What I want to see, what we all want to see is the Hype Brothers win the NXT Tag Team titles out of nowhere.
Yeah, the Hype Brothers. They even got promo time this past week on NXT. But let's not talk about them. Let's actually talk about Vaudevillains real quick.
Yeah, let's not talk about the Hype Brothers. Sorry, guys.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Zack Ryder. Woo, woo, woo. Like, I'm a big fan of his. Like,
you know it.
Yeah, you know it. I'm a big fan of his. But Mojo Rawley.
He's terrible. He's terrible.
He is.
But you were talking about the Vaudevillains.
Yeah, back to the Vaudevillains. So what's important right now in this podcast? So the Vaudevillains, when they won the NXT titles, they were faces. And they were all happy and go lucky. And now the vignettes that they keep showing for them, they're going back to their villainous roots, it seems. When they finally come back, would make their return in the NXT division.
And I think that's cool because, I mean, first off, it's in the title of the team, so I always felt like it worked better. But they always had that cool entrance when they were, heels, because it had that dastardly kind of feel to it. They worked better as bad guys, I thought. So I'm excited to see them coming back as heels. Because that's what this seems like they're leaning towards.
They're definitely leaning towards that. And I know someone else that you don't have to be excited to wait for them to come back because they already have come back was Alex Riley. He's back, people. He was wrestling Bullfit and he showed up. Say it to my face. Alex Riley showed up, long hair and all, horrible back tattoo, faded as all hell, beat up Bullfit. And Steve was pumped to no prevail.
Oh yeah, this was, I think, like the first time NXT had me feeling like I was watching an episode of Raw. I was like, really? First off, Bull came out and I was like, Bull's still there?
Yeah.
All right, whatever. And then I hear that familiar theme song and I'm like, oh, this wasted theme music. Because I mean, I don't think it's a great song, but I think Alex Riley's theme song is a really good wrestling theme song.
It's a good theme song.
And it's just like, like on this guy, and he comes out and does his whatever, and I'm like, Alex Riley's back. I don't care. Like, I don't hate him, but I mean, he's just such like a mid-card player where like I really just don't care about Alex Riley one way or the other.
He just doesn't have a gimmick or anything about him that makes me really interested about him. He's like just a standard wrestler. Nothing against it, but there's just nothing about him I could get behind. But hopefully now with his new attitude and everything, so after he beat up Bullfit, he cut a promo. He was talking about how angry he is because he's been watching a lot of WWE Network and no one called him back because no one wants him to wrestle. And that's what he gets for like having 8 years in the ring. And he knows what Apollo Crews has for breakfast because of the WWE Network. And he was tired for the last 3 weeks watching Sami Zayn return promos before he showed up. And no one cared about Riley. Now Riley's like, I guess you are surprised to see me. I answer my own question. And I guess he wants to start a feud with Sami Zayn, but that's pointless because no one cares.
Yeah, no one cares. And I don't know if it's so much, hopefully not involved in a program with Sami Zayn, but just more like, this is the hero and you guys were advertising him in advance and weren't advertising me. I just don't really care right now. There are a bunch of other interesting characters in NXT, and Riley does nothing for me. He was better off on the commentary.
I agree. So the major point that I wanted to touch up on, that actually we wanted to touch up on when it comes to NXT,
was Alex Riley. We're done.
No, it was not. I know he was hyper than the Hype Bros, but it's we're not done. We have the triple threat match against Samoa Joe, Baron Corbin, and Sami Zayn. And the winner would be the number one contender for the NXT title, and they will get their shot against Finn Balor. So that's when we'll see him come back, Finn Balor.
You think he's just in a coffin sleeping right now, waiting to find out who his next contender
Dracula
is?
style? Hell yeah, that's how he does it.
Yeah, I was excited when they announced it a couple weeks ago.
And we actually talked about it for quite some time on previous podcasts. And now it's finally here. We sat down, we watched it, we digested it. And I got to say, what a spectacular match. I did enjoy it for mainly the finish. Maybe the match wasn't as good as I remember it, but there was just a lot of good spots in the match.
There were a bunch of cool spots in the match. The early parts of the match were a little slow, but near the end it picked up pretty well. And I thought the finish was kind of cool.
So talking about the finish, what a way to end the match. It left me confused. Before we explain the finish, without trying to give it away, no spoilers. Have you ever seen a match end like this before? Because there's nothing I can remember that ended like this.
I mean, I've seen the spot that they did before, but I don't I can't think of any time it was used as a finish.
Okay. All right, with that question out of the way, let's talk about this mysterious finish. Baron Corbin was just getting beaten up to all hell between Sami Zayn and Samoa Joe.
And this is the point. Zayn's making his comeback. We got to see all the spots, the haluva kick.
Yes, and everything. And it was awesome. Besides that, we also saw Samoa Joe give Sami Zayn a Coquina clutch outside to, like, silence him. And then I don't know how Sami Zayn came back to life, but he sprung up super fast to come back into the match. But anyway, getting away from myself. The match is great. Watch it, guys. It's on the WWE
Yeah,
Network.
watch it. And that spot in particular, because Joe puts it on Zayn outside, and I forget the main play-by-play guy on NXT, but he's making the argument that Joe can't win it out there. And, of course, Corey Graves, he's just so good.
Yeah.
Makes the great logic. He's like, he can't win it out there, but he takes Sami Zayn out there, and now he's only got to worry about one guy in the ring.
Yeah.
It was just a small part in the match that I really liked, and I felt that we should bring it up.
We definitely need to bring it up because that's some WWE 2K16 tactics. That's how I win a triple threat in there. But that wasn't the finish, people. That wasn't the controversial finish. So the controversial finish was Baron Corbin somehow or another got his way into a sharpshooter by Sami Zayn, and then Samoa Joe runs into the ring and puts Baron Corbin in the crossface, and then Baron Corbin taps out. So the referee calls the bell, but the referee doesn't know who's the winner. Who did he lose to? Did he lose to Sami Zayn, or did he lose to Samoa Joe? The sharpshooter or the crossface?
Yeah, it's cool. We get a Scooby-Doo mystery at the end of this match.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, there was nothing wrong with the finish in that it made for cool storytelling afterwards, but you and I were watching it and we're just like, all right, so the referee doesn't know who won, then why did he call for the bell?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it was. And then, William Regal comes out and they're looking at him to make a decision, but, Regal doesn't seem to have one. And I like the fact that you could hear both guys arguing their points about it.
I loved Samoa Joe's point. He was like, sorry, man, you had him in a sharpshooter. He wasn't doing anything. He's like, the minute I slid in and put him in the crossface, that's when his hand started tapping.
Yeah.
He was like, so then obviously I won. He's like, I don't understand where the confusion is. What's going on here?
Yeah, I thought that was really good. I thought something that was great that I would have loved if they had done was your point where you were just like, why didn't they just ask Baron Corbin?
Yeah.
Like, which one hurt more? Which one's the one that made you tap out?
Yeah, like, wait, before you go into the back, which one hurt more? Your face and arm or your legs? Like,
yeah, and then you decide a winner from there. Look, boom, case closed.
Yeah. But it was cool, Regal said he couldn't make a decision right there on the spot. He wanted to go back in the back with the referee and review the tapes, and that's how it ended. We don't know who won. I don't think Regal brought the referee back to review the tapes in the back. I think he brought him into the back to, like, knife him. I think he shanked him because he messed up and didn't have an answer to what the performance was in the ring.
Yeah, he's William Regal. He's like, how could you stop the match if you don't know who the winner is?
Yeah, he was like, I'm sorry, but, this knife is going to have to go into your stomach right now.
Slowly.
Yes, also slowly. But that's what Regal does, He has to do what he has to do in order to keep NXT strong, and he's doing a great job at it. So if a couple of referees end up missing, hey, it's for the greater good.
Yeah, it's a small price to pay. I mean, the obvious solution coming out of it would be like, we couldn't decide a winner, so now Samoa Joe versus Sami Zayn, which is a match I'd be really cool with seeing.
We get to see everything we wanted. We want to see the Sami Zayn Samoa Joe match because of the words that they've been having back and forth. But, Baron Corbin got thrown in the mix. And then they found a way to get around that so we could still get that. And then see what we're going to get for Finn Balor. Between Samoa Joe and Sami Zayn, who would you want to go over? Would you want it to be Samoa Joe going for the second time to be NXT champion? Or would you want it for Sami Zayn to go to actually try to be the first two-time NXT champion?
I think I'd want Samoa Joe to win it. Just because it goes back to my whole, waiting for the payoff. So, Sami Zayn just came back and wants that chance, but, couldn't get it just yet and has to work and fight a little bit longer for that chance. And because I've really liked what I've seen between Samoa Joe and Finn Balor. I'd like to see Sami Zayn versus Finn Balor match, but I think Joe and Balor are accomplished enough where if we get them again, we're not going to get the same match that we had in London.
No.
These two guys can put together a different match, so I'm excited to see what they could do together. And it'd be part 2 in the story, so you got to kind of up it a little bit, and it'd be interesting.
Yeah, it'd be like a Sasha Banks Bayley 1 and 2, Kevin Owens Finn Balor 1 and 2. It'll be great. I mean, I agree with you. I want Samoa Joe win it again because when Sami Zayn wins the NXT title for the second time, I want his reign to be a little longer than what it was prior because he got it and then just got demolished by Kevin Owens.
And then it was just poor timing because he got hurt, right afterwards.
So, he really didn't have a chance to run with the gold. It's great that he could say he held it, but he didn't have a substantial run with the title. And I would like him to have that, so that's a staple. Not only was he two-time, but he, had a pretty long run.
Yeah, and he's just Sami Zayn, it'd be awesome for him to be the first 2-time NXT champion. Because he's such a big part of, what it was and what it's becoming. And hopefully he gets to move on. Yeah, only when moving on is actually, worth it.
Yeah. You're right. He's actually the best of both worlds. Like, I can remember him fighting Cesaro and a lot of people who already moved up to the NXT ladder. He beat Neville for the title, which allowed Neville to go up to the main roster. So, yeah, he's fought pretty much a ton of prior NXT alumni.
Even Kevin Owens,
you know.
And he was a big staple in NXT when it was like a YouTube show where, we weren't really watching very much.
So, I definitely agree he does deserve the spot for the first 2-time NXT champion. Yeah. Let's see what happens. Hopefully they do not call him up to the main roster, because then he'll just be floating.
But then, it would probably be kind of bad. But, so what was it? It ended with them saying Regal will have a decision next week,
yeah.
Right?
So this week, guys, by the time you're listening to this, check NXT, because we will get our answer of what happened in that triple threat match between Baron Corbin, Samoa Joe, and Sami Zayn for the number 1 contender spot for the NXT championship.
That's so messed up. They give you a match and then you have to wait a week to actually know who won the match. It's like Batman back in the day.
Yeah, it's great though, but it gets me pumped, because usually when I watch wrestling, I mean, I enjoy watching it, but I'm not glued like, oh man, last week left on such a cliffhanger. I can't wait to see where what happens now. NXT Gaming Night, they gave me a cliffhanger to something very important. It wasn't like a cliffhanger to, oh my god, these two have a great feud, what's going to happen next week? This is, holy crap, this match was for the number 1 contender spot. It was for something important, and we don't have an answer for you guys. Sorry, come back.
It's very old school. I remember that a lot, like watching Superstars when we were growing up. It's really cool to see that back in pro wrestling again, because, I mean, there are times where I get excited at the end of an episode of Raw or a segment, but it's maybe like 2-3 times like the whole year where you're like super hyped at the end of a Raw, and it seems like it happens coming out of NXT a little bit more often.
Yeah, I mean, I get excited at the end of episodes, but it's some of them, I don't remember the last time I got so excited by an episode that made me look forward to the following week.
Yeah.
Some finished too, some Raws were like, I was like, what a way to end it. That was awesome. Like when Sting came back and he sweated his makeup off. Yeah. It was great to see, but I wasn't like, I can't wait to tune in next week. What's going to happen? So
you were kind of just like, all right, Sting.
Yeah, cool, Sting. Now where are they going to go with this, And he ended up having that pretty good match with Seth Rollins. Yeah. So before we go from the WWE Performance Center and into the main event with SmackDown and Monday Night Raw recaps, there's one wrestler I want to talk about in the NXT division, and it's something new that I actually want to do every week. I actually showcase new wrestlers, old wrestlers, whatever wrestler we think we need to.
But just like talking about a wrestler.
Yeah, because we rarely do. Sometimes we
talk about Bret Hart.
Oh, yeah. Well,
and Bret Hart. Now that we record this podcast, just hearing that news about Bret Hart, it's really sad, and, we wish Bret Hart the best of luck in his battle with prostate cancer. It was devastating, actually, to me. It's very few heroes I had as a kid kind of
mattered.
Kind of mattered, and Bret Hart was very much a hero when I was a kid.
Yeah, him and Roddy Piper for me as well. Like when Roddy Piper passed, like I choked up. I was like, I can't believe Roddy Piper's not here with us anymore. Hearing Bret Hart have prostate cancer is really sad, and just like Steve, I wish Bret Hart nothing but the best. I'm not worried. I know he's going to beat it. Moving on, talking about showcasing a wrestler. For this episode, we're going to talk about the new NXT superstar, Elias Samson, the Drifter himself.
The Drifter, Elias
He is
Samson.
The Drifter, Elias Samson. So I have a couple of notes that I had to jot down about this gentleman. Steve, before I go into these notes that I have, what do you think about him? I made you sit down earlier today and watch his most recent match against Jobster on NXT. I forgot the gentleman's name. I apologize, but you were a jobber, and which is nothing wrong with that. Shout outs to Brooklyn Brawler. And what do you think of Elias Samson and his whole look and gimmick and everything?
I mean, I guess the look is kind of alright. I mean, it's just jeans with a lot of bandanas around his arm. He's like R-Truth without spray paint on his tights for the most part. But I don't know, he's kind of boring in the ring for me. I kind of get where they're going with this persona where he's I don't know, kind of tame, but, wild when he's in the match. But I remember prior to this match that you had me watching some match where he would do a move and just kind of wait and look at the guy and do nothing, and he sat on the second turnbuckle for what felt like 30-40 seconds. I was just like, this is boring.
Yeah.
So I don't love him, but it's too early to be I don't like him. At this point I could say I'm not a fan of Baron Corbin because I've been watching him wrestle a lot. Elias Samson's only been around for a couple weeks, as far as I've been watching. I remember he was at TakeOver, and we were like, who? And didn't he lose to, like,
Yeah, he lost, and that wasn't considered his debut. His debut was in London, actually.
Yeah, I guess it's just because they were trying something out. It would have been the equivalent of, like, when they had dark matches. Just because, like, with the network now, they don't really have dark matches at events anymore. So I guess that would have been, like, a dark match thing where it's just, like, go out there, let's see, you know, how the crowd reacts to you. He's got cool theme music.
Yeah. And the one thing I like about him, okay, so let me talk about some Elias Samson. Let's go.
Because I mean, he piqued your interest. He made you write down notes.
Yeah, I wrote down notes because it's interesting. He has a gimmick.
Yeah.
A lot of wrestlers don't have gimmicks. If they do, they're very minor gimmicks. You know, like Bull Dempsey has his, like, bullfit and stuff like that. But Elias, he's a drifter. Like, he's supposed to go from place to place with his acoustic guitar, playing his music, making money. I think it's interesting that he plays his theme song on his acoustic guitar. So he actually knows how to play a guitar. Unlike Greg the Hammer Valentine, when he was a tag team with the Honky Tonk Man, he couldn't even hold a guitar while standing on a chair, which was just ridiculous.
Oh man, yeah, I remember that.
One foot on the chair and he's still gonna hold the guitar correctly.
Awful. He looked terrible.
Well, besides that, his look, he looks like a young Macho Man. You know, the crazy big bush beard, you know, and the hair kind of looks like Macho Man in the face.
A mixture of that and like Damian Sandow. Almost.
Yeah, because Damian Sandow looks like Macho Man also.
I mean, he was Macho Mando.
Yeah, he was. So pretty much a Damian Sandow, Macho Man mix, and that's what you got for Elias Samson in the face. The drifted thing is okay, but it's kind of corny because he only wrestles in the NXT, so he always keeps drifting to the same place.
He keeps drifting to Full Sail University.
Yeah, exactly, because they don't go on the road as much, so I think to spice his character up a little, what they should have him do is walking around in the stands of, like, a Monday Night Raw taping.
Well, yeah, they probably wouldn't just waste Raw time on him. My thing with the whole drifter thing is eventually you got to explain why is he a wrestler.
Yeah.
So, like, why do you keep drifting into here wrestling? I guess that's why... I'm not totally, like, sold or hate him yet. It's just, like, I don't know what to think of you. But all I know is in-ring wise, he kind of bores me.
Yeah, he is boring. And let's go back to the whole, like, he comes down the ring slow and quiet. It takes him a while to, like, start. You know, he just sits on top of the turnbuckle, like you mentioned before, and just chews imaginary gum and then takes his shirt off. And then it's time for him to wrestle. He doesn't even put his stuff away, which pisses me off. He just leaves it in the corner. But I'm like, come on, clean up after yourself. But after he does all that, then he gets crazy and he attacks him real fast, real hard. But then we'll sit down and take breaks and attack real fast, real hard.
And they try to like play off like the way like he stares. Like what's he staring at in the distance?
Well, luckily we have good commentators on NXT that will help elevate his status. Corey Graves right now doesn't like him because Corey Graves is the same. He's like, I have too many questions. Like, what is he doing here and everything like that. So, you know, hopefully we'll find more and we'll expand. You know, they're doing the whole Baron Corbin thing again. Like, comes in, doesn't say much or anything. Squashes a dude hard, fast, and walks out of the ring. So it kind of, I guess, worked for Corbin because look at him now. He was in a triple threat match for the number one contender spot. But hopefully Elias Samson has better mic skills or something about him that will attract us to him, and they don't have to go down the same route with that type of character.
Yeah, and at least even Corbin, as much as I'm not the biggest fan, he's like a specimen. He's a big dude. You know, that crazy ink, and he's got like big high impact moves like his finisher and all that, and like some of the random moves that he pulls out, like those cool like bombs that he does. But Samson doesn't have that, so even with like a guy that I don't like in Corbin, I could just be like, well, at least he's got a couple moves that kind of entertain me.
That's a really good point, and since we're talking about moves, let's talk about Elias Samson's finisher. Since he's still new, he really doesn't have a name for it. It's some type of neck breaker, swinging neck breaker. It looks good. I like the way it looks. He doesn't have a name for it yet.
It kind of looks like Honky Tonk Man, shake, rattle, and roll neck breaker, just like whipped really fast.
Very true.
Yeah, but I mean, we got to see him a little bit more. I mean, he's got to have like some actual matches because right now he's just like on the dominating end, just showing us who he is. But again, it's just cool watching the way stuff works on NXT. Guys just slowly coming out, gradually trying to build them up.
Yeah, it's new. It's interesting because we've seen them graduate. You know, we've seen a lot of them graduate last year. Who knows who we're going to see graduate this year? You know, maybe Sami Zayn. Who knows? So we need to get those new wrestlers to become stars, sports entertainers. Like, they need to be there. And Apollo Crews is another one of them as well.
Yeah, they like him.
I like him too. And he just made his debut in NXT Brooklyn, and he already feels somewhat like a veteran to the roster.
Yeah, he kind of does.
Which is interesting. And since we're already talking about Apollo Crews, I might as well just say this. I can't wait. He's finally getting his rematch against Finn Balor, but it's a non-title match because remember, their title match, which was really good, got interrupted by Baron Corbin and Samoa Joe, and that's where this whole thing led up to this triple threat number one contenders match. So we're going to finally see who's going to win. I hope Apollo Crews goes over because it's a non-title match, and that'll really give him some fire, because then if Samoa Joe beats Finn Balor for the title, I would love to see Apollo Crews Samoa Joe. I think that would be fantastic to watch.
I mean, that'd be cool. It would set up almost an immediate contender. I like the fact that Crews wanted just a non-title match, because, he's like, as much as he wants the gold, it's more about, like...
Can he beat him?
Yeah, can I beat you? We were having a match, and, like, that got stopped. Yeah. I need to know this. I mean, in the end, I would still want Finn Balor to win, just because, I mean, he is still the champion. I always remember that old school style growing up. You rarely saw the champ lose. I mean, granted, Hulk Hogan was the champ most of the time.
That's why we love the IC title so much.
Yeah, but even then, when they had the titles, whether it was a non-title match or not, you rarely saw them lose. So just because of that, I'd want Finn Balor to win and still look strong going into whoever he fights, Samoa Joe or Sami Zayn. But it should be a good match. I'm looking forward to it too.
All right, Steve, you ready to talk about SmackDown and Monday Night Raw?
Always. Let's do this.
Too bad. You're going to have to wait after this commercial break.
That's so long.
You can catch Natal on 3 separate podcasts. Yes, 3. You can catch him on Fight Your Rival with Michael Andronico, Podcast Championship Wrestling with the other half of The Men of 2000 Holds, Steve, and So Says Natal podcast. You can find all 3 podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Stitcher. And you can follow him on Twitter at SoSaysNatal1, on Instagram at SoSaysNatal, and on Facebook, facebook.com/SoSaysNatal. You can support any of the podcasts by sending your comments, questions, and suggestions to sosaysnatal@gmail.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe across all platforms. You have just been educated.
Welcome back to episode 28 of Podcast Championship Wrestling, and now it's time for SmackDown. Well, not the whole thing. We're only going to talk about 3 key pieces of SmackDown that I actually wanted to touch up on. So the first one is Kalisto. No, he didn't lose the U.S. title. He's still U.S. champion.
Good for him.
Good for him. Yeah, he's going strong. I think he's like 2 weeks strong or a week strong so far.
Yeah.
Better than his first run of a day. But this time he put the title up on SmackDown. It's cool. SmackDown now has like title defenses and stuff like that, which is fantastic. And before we talk about Raw, you mentioned this on Raw. Raw is now even promoting SmackDown matches, so it almost continues some of the stories, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's always good. I mean, even if it's not continuing stories, just Raw never used to mention anything on SmackDown. And why are people going to want to watch SmackDown? So, like, of course, why wouldn't you tell us matches for SmackDown? So I thought it was cool that they advertised 2 matches for SmackDown this week.
Yep, and back to Kalisto. So Kalisto defended his U.S. title against Neville. It seems like everything I mentioned a couple of weeks ago is coming to pass. Like, it's all happening.
Yeah, I mean, I remember us mentioning...
Yeah, I said I wanted Kalisto Del Rio. I wanted him to win the U.S. title, and then I wanted him to start defending the title against, like, a Neville, because I want Neville to win some type of gold.
Yeah, I mean, well, we've said it before. The main roster constantly rips us off, so here's more proof.
So it was a great match. It's Neville and Kalisto. How could it not be a great match? Very entertaining, some really great spots. If you guys didn't see it, definitely watch it. It's on Hulu Plus. Definitely check out that Kalisto handstand spot. It was incredible. Kalisto retained the title. He beat Neville, still your current WWE US Heavyweight Champion.
Good for him.
Good for him. Let's see how long he holds it. His next big title defense is in Fastlane.
Yeah, they announced that this week on Raw. He's fighting Del Rio again. Okay. I mean, it makes sense. Del Rio's the former champion, but it's a match that I'm kind of burnt out on at this point. So whoever wins, which I hope it's Kalisto, I hope it's the end of these 2 guys working with each other for a bit.
I agree. I hope it's Kalisto. I like him holding the title. Del Rio does not need a title. He's part of League of Nations. He's calling everyone perros every week, so that's all he needs to keep doing.
He just needs to keep calling people dogs.
You think that's all Del Rio's? Yeah, just keep calling people dogs. Have Kalisto wins and silence it. I want this time around to have Del Rio have that extra hand out there and Kalisto to go over it, because last time he lost the title to Del Rio because of King Barrett being on the outside. So I want King Barrett or Rusev to be on the outside and Kalisto beats both to show, look, even with 2 people, I could still hold the title.
Yeah, and it's no fluke. That'd be cool. Because, I mean, granted, it's happened twice, but, Del Rio's kind of making it off like it was a fluke. So, this would be the proof right there.
Yeah, proof is in the pudding. Seal that concrete. It is done. Let's have Kalisto continue going on against Neville and everyone else. With that out of the way, someone that he should be wrestling, which would be actually pretty interesting, is AJ Styles. And so far, with him being in the WWE has put him to work. He wrestled Sunday at the Royal Rumble, Monday at Monday Night Raw against Chris Jericho. Smackdowns are taped on Tuesday and aired on Thursday, so he technically wrestled the following day.
Yeah.
And against his toughest opponent yet, Curtis Axel.
Oof. This was a tough one. That's was a tough scary, man.
Curtis. Listen to his name, Curtis Axel.
Curtis Axel, the man that was in the Royal Rumble for a year.
AJ Styles definitely had a lot of cards stacked up against him in this match. I thought he was going to go down fast and quick. to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I mean, like, who's AJ Styles going up against Curtis Axel?
Exactly, Curtis Axel. But unfortunately, AJ Styles found the way to prevail, beat Curtis Axel, and we finally got to see something that we've been waiting to see.
Yeah, they teased the Styles Clash the first couple nights, and we hadn't seen it, and he hit Curtis Axel with the Styles Clash, which is cool.
Are you happy that the first person to get the Styles Clash was Curtis Axel?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, a lot of people were able to avoid it, so for the first person to get it, it's a chump. Sorry, like Curtis Axel. But I mean, I guess it works too because you got to showcase it. It can't show up in a really big match when you finally get to see it. I guess kind of what I would have liked. But it was cool. It's a cool finisher as long as he doesn't hurt people with it.
Yeah, I hope they keep it for a while. It looks like a finisher that he could hurt people with. I mean, it's going to be interesting because there's a lot of big people in the WWE height wise. It's going to be interesting to see how AJ Styles could pull that finisher off on some of the taller talent. Because even Chris Jericho had to modify the Lion Tamer into the Walls of Jericho because of the size of the WWE competitors.
Some of it was that, and some of it was just drama.
Yeah.
Like, once he put in the old school Lion Tamer, it was just the guy couldn't really get out of that move. You couldn't have him crawl into the ropes because he was right on his neck. So they had to change it so you could have those spots where, the guy's crawling for the ropes.
Whatever, I love the Lion Tamer.
Oh, so do I. It was so brutal.
AJ Styles crawled out of the Lion Tamer to the ropes, and he was in the dead center of the ring.
Yeah, but he switched it into that, walls before.
Yeah.
But it was cool. I'm, a fan of AJ Styles, watching him through the years in TNA. That was mainly where I saw him. I didn't watch any other.
That's all I know him from is TNA.
Ring of Honor work or anything like that, or New Japan, where he was until recently. But it's cool. Yeah, they've been showcasing him a lot. He's a bunch of matches. He wasn't in a match on Raw this week, but he was in that big Miz TV segment, and it was cool because Miz really put over AJ's work around the world and was able to get heat for himself in the process. I thought it was a really cool segment.
And since we're talking about it, we might as well finish it up. The whole segment was The Miz talking that whole entire time. He went to give AJ Styles a second and then pulled the mic away and just kept talking. And he got mad because the crowd turned on him. Because at first he was praising AJ Styles. He wanted to be AJ Styles' agent. He wanted to skyrocket him to the top like he did with Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
He is the grandfather of the Yes movement. He created it.
I thought that was funny.
Which is fantastic. And the crowd started to go off on him, and he got pissed off, and he was like, who's AJ Styles? Who's this guy? He hasn't headlined WrestleManias. He's not an A-lister like me, a former world champion. It was great.
It was really good.
Then AJ beat the crap out of him, and I like it. Even though AJ wasn't on the mic, he was shouting, now you know who I am? Now you know who I am?
I know. I thought that was really good. Especially, I mean, it's by design, but I love that whole way Miz spun it where it's who's this guy? And then, this guy gets his comeuppance on him. And it's cool because, again, that leads into a match on SmackDown this week because that was one of the matches that's announced, AJ Styles versus The Miz. I mean, it's not blockbuster. It's not one of those dream matches where you're oh, AJ Styles is there. I've always wanted to see him work with The Miz. But I think it could be a pretty good match.
I think it will be a good match. I mean, Miz is a decent wrestler. I don't love him and everything, but I think between him and AJ Styles, I think they could put an entertaining match together.
Yeah, I totally agree. So it's a really cool thing. And just the lead up into the match itself, I thought was well done. So it just makes that match feel a little bit more special.
And what's even more special about it is the fact that it's on SmackDown. It wasn't they'll finish this next week on Raw. You want to see AJ, finish beating the crap out of The Miz, you got to check out SmackDown.
Yeah, you got to watch the other show, guys. I think it's smart of them.
And the final point I want to talk about in this last week's episode of SmackDown is the Divas division. And it was Charlotte against a wrestler that I haven't seen in a very long time. I know she's been wrestling, but I haven't seen her because Hulu cuts her off. And that is Natalya. Natalya wrestled Charlotte on SmackDown. And it was great to see Natty wrestling all over again.
Yeah, that's cool because I'm a fan of Natty in the ring. She was one of the first ones before I started watching like the NXT women wrestlers where I was just like, she's really good. I wish she had some other people that she could wrestle with. So it's nice to see her on TV. Yeah, because we watch Hulu. We don't really get to see her that much, but even those segments aren't very substantial. It's almost a shame. And she had that incredible match with Charlotte in NXT, so...
For the NXT Women's title.
Yeah, so, I mean, I wouldn't be expecting that, but just knowing that they're wrestling on SmackDown, that's something to be excited about, because you know they can do something well together.
And the match was good. It was, like you said, it was nowhere near as good as their match for the NXT title, because Bret Hart wasn't in Natty's corner, which was fantastic that first time around. But it was still great to see her wrestle. I hope Hulu stops cutting her out. I hope she gets pushed more, because she is one of their better wrestlers. You know, Nikki Bella's gone for a while. You know, congratulations, Nikki Bella, on having the surgery and it being successful. It's nothing but great news. Hopefully she gets better and comes back. It'll be awesome at SummerSlam because we'll be there live and then we could scream and yell or boo or be indifferent and taking a piss in the bathroom.
I like that one.
Yeah, whatever we are doing at that moment, maybe she'll make her return at SummerSlam, but we wish her nothing but the best. You know, hopefully she recovers fast and soon. But with her out of the way, have Natalya in the running for the title. I would love to see Natalya and Becky Lynch. I would love to see Natalya and Sasha Banks. I would like to see Natalya wrestle the new women, and that could be her shtick. She go after Charlotte, then go after Becky, then go after Sasha, and be like, you know, I've been here for a while, and I wasn't part of this whole Divas revolution that happened, and I want to see what's the big deal about all three of you ladies. And I think that'd be really cool and it'd give a reason for me to actually care about Natty and everyone else. Because she is a great wrestler. She is a great in-ring competitor. When I saw her, I almost forgot how good she was.
Yeah, that happens a lot with Natty because she just kind of like seems to disappear. I don't know what it is. It's a shame. I really wish they did more with her.
Yeah. And that is all I have to talk about SmackDown. It's just great to see Natty. AJ Styles still killing it. And we finally got Kalisto defending a title against someone else that is not Alberto Del Rio. So that's big news.
That's big news, and he kept it.
Yeah, and he kept it. That's even bigger news. Let's go right into Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
And this week's Monday Night Raw, we were blessed with a really good promo because every Monday Night Raw pretty much starts with a promo that is dragged out for like 20 to 30 minutes, but we got a good one.
Yeah, the opening segment was good this week.
All around good this week. We started out with Brock Lesnar on the mic, Paul Heyman on the mic. Yeah, but you know, Brock Lesnar bouncing around in the ring, doing the Lesnar thing.
Smirking.
Doing what he needs to do. Paul Heyman, you know, buttering him up, getting us ready for Fastlane, talking about how everyone's going to get demolished and this, that, and the third.
Suplex City, all that.
All of that. You know, I enjoyed it because it's Paul Heyman on the mic. He is amazing at it every single time. I will stop what I'm doing to really focus and give him all my attention. And during his whole speech, Dean Ambrose comes out. And it's great. You know, Dean Ambrose is fantastic. He cut a really good promo on Brock Lesnar and made everyone look like $1 million. He told Lesnar he knows he's going to take him to Suplex City. He knows he's going to get beat up. He knows that Roman Reigns is going to beat him up as well. He knows the beatings that he's going to get from these two men, but he's going to bring his broken body back to the ring and still win because he is the Iron Man of the WWE. That's the new thing he's calling himself now. And it's funny that he said that he'll bring his broken body to the ring because it kind of inadvertently crapped all over Roman Reigns because every time that dude gets beat up, he gets pulled to the back. He sleeps outside the ring while Dean Ambrose is just getting beat up in the ring by the Wyatts. So I know he didn't do it purposely, but the first thing I thought of was, well, Roman Reigns wouldn't do that. He wouldn't crawl back into the ring. He'd take a nap, or he would get off a stretcher and walk to the back and then start Superman punching people.
But yeah, it was great. This was the kind of thing that made me like fall in love with the Dean Ambrose character, you know, so long ago. He's just really good on the mic. And this one, I mean, there were some moments that I thought were great where he's like, you know, Roman Reigns is my brother, but I want this, you know, this championship so much that I'm willing to go through him. Like, he made a good point there. I loved how he said he doesn't want to fight Brock Lesnar, but he's got to, and he will for this. Like, I liked it. Like, I mean, he even said it, like, he's not a stupid guy. He knows he's going to take a beating. He knows he's going to go to Suplex City, but still, in the end, he's going to come out victorious. It was just a really, really good promo from Ambrose. I was really happy with the opening segment from Raw, and just happy to hear a promo like that from Ambrose again, because I feel like it's been forever since he had something that substantial.
And also, it feels like forever since I really cared about a main event to a pay-per-view in quite some time. Because Royal Rumble was cool and all, but I really didn't care about Roman Reigns defending it. It was just interesting because it's something they never done before, but I really wasn't that excited. But Ambrose, the way he was talking, the way he was holding the microphone, tapping it, he seemed so focused and nonchalant at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, his whole body movements were very nonchalant, like, whatever, I'm here. But his voice and just, like, everything else, his delivery of the speech was like, I'm focused and I'm here to fight.
Yeah, just completely focused. It was awesome. And yeah, I mean, still, I'm excited for it because Ambrose's talking is just getting me excited, and I feel like we will get a good match, but I feel like in the end it's a foregone conclusion where everybody's like, yeah, well, Reigns is going to win.
You really think so?
I kind of do. I mean, why?
So then why would they go through all that trouble making him 2-time champion, having a title reign for 5 minutes and 15 seconds, put him in a Royal Rumble to make him win it again at WrestleMania? Like, just doesn't make any sense. So he can win it at
WrestleMania. So you could beat Triple H,
beat the odds, and beat the whole McMahon. Oh.
Yeah, like I'm not a big fan of the overall story that they're telling with him, but I feel like that's where it's gonna end up. I don't know if they're gonna do. I don't think they would do Lesnar Triple H, and I don't think they would give us Ambrose.
I mean, yeah, Lesnar Triple H, didn't they wrestle like 2-3 years ago at WrestleMania?
WrestleMania 29.
Oh,
so I don't think they'd go back to the well for that match.
You're right. Damn, that's.
Oh, I just made you see reality. I'm sorry.
Whatever. I'm still excited for the match.
Yeah, I'm still excited for the match.
Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully they throw us for a loop and Dean Ambrose wins like they did in the Royal Rumble, because I didn't expect Dean Ambrose to. I was really
hoping for it. I was like, please do it. They didn't.
No, but still, I was like, Dean Ambrose is the last man standing in the ring.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's crazy. Well, and rumors, you can't trust anything on the internet. Are you doing Jake the Snake over there? Saying, trust me in the back?
I'm saying, hey, don't trust them.
Oh, don't trust them. Okay. So while Steve is trying to subliminally tell you to trust him, Jake the Snake status, we both read online that the reason why Dean Ambrose was the last person in the ring with Triple H at the Royal Rumble was because they didn't want it to be Roman Reigns, because the crowd was booing Roman Reigns the whole night. Yeah. So if they put Roman Reigns in the ring with Triple H, they'll end up cheering for Triple H, who's supposed to be the monster heel in the match. So they had to give Dean Ambrose pretty much their babyface.
Yeah, because they wanted the bad guy to be booed. You put Ambrose in there, he's going to get cheers from the crowd. But it's going to be crazy because in this match, Ambrose and Lesnar are going to be cheered more than Reigns.
Which annoys me because it's like the reverse Daniel Bryan when it comes to this whole Roman Reigns crap. Like, the crowd is telling them, no, boo, stop. Yeah. And they're just like, yeah, you want more. And then for Daniel Bryan, we're like, we want this. And they're like, you don't want that.
No, you don't want this guy. Yeah,
so frustrating.
They're hell-bent on keeping him a face.
All right, let's get off this whole topic. It was great that...
Yeah, it was a great opening segment.
Yeah, let's go into something just as important, and that is the world of Kevin Owens. He is still wrestling. He's still on the up and up, people. He is there. Even though he's wrestling Jack Swagger on main event from time to time, he's still wrestling on Monday Night Raw, so I don't see it as a bad thing. I see it as a double dose. The doctor gave me 2 shots of Kevin Owens for the week, and I was fine with that one. So this week, he wrestled Dolph Ziggler. Again. Because last week, Kevin Owens won and beat Ziggler, so now Ziggler wants a rematch.
That makes sense.
Makes sense. So they wrestled, they did their thing. Great match.
Yeah, it was a good match.
It was a really good match. There was some really good spots that I definitely want to touch up on. One of them was when Kevin Owens threw Dolph Ziggler, whipped him so hard into the turnbuckle, and his face hit the turnbuckle. It looked like he broke teeth. And then Kevin Owens ran into a cannonball right into the corner on him. I thought that was just a really great spot.
Yeah, that looked really brutal, like the whiplash effect on it. I liked when he tied Dolph up in the Tree of Woe and then went for the cannonball in that also.
Yeah, that was another spot I wanted to bring up as well. Also, his super kick to Dolph Ziggler, which I thought was interesting.
That one was crazy.
It was impactful because the whole shtick was, before Monday Night Raw even aired, Ziggler and Owens had some words in the back. And Ziggler said that he's going to super kick him and pin him with a super kick. So Owens super kicked him in the ring. And it's great, Owens being Owens the whole match, talking all that beautiful crap out of his mouth.
Yeah, the stuff like, this is what you got from me, and come on, you're a former world champion. I thought that was great.
That was hilarious. He points at him, he's like, this is your world champion? Yeah. And he points at him, he's like, I'm the face of the WWE, and just knocks Ziggler out. But Ziggler had some moments. He had 2 actually really good moments. One of them was the Famouser outside.
Oh, yeah, that was a really cool spot.
Which was really good. And the spot that actually won him the match, which was his zigzag reversal for the finish. Kevin Owens was going for the pop-up powerbomb. When he threw him up, Ziggler came down with the zigzag. Both sold it really well. Got the 1, 2, 3. Ziggler wins. They are tied right now when it comes to this whole feud between Ziggler and Owens.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Dalton needs the win. I mean, you can't have Kevin Owens, I mean, as much as we want to. He's not going to be steamrolling over everyone.
I mean, that's what I wanted. Because before the match even started, I saw Dolph Ziggler. I was like, who's he going to wrestle? And Kevin Owens came out. I was like, cool, he's going to do a job for Owens. Fantastic. And nope, egg on my face.
I was like, no. But, I mean, eventually when he beats Dolph for, like, the last time, it'll mean more if he wasn't just completely dominant. So I hope that's where they're going with that. But I was actually surprised with the finish just because of the way Dolph's been positioned recently. I really wasn't expecting.
He's the put over guy. He's just there to put you over and to sell your moves because he could take bumps, man.
Yeah, and he makes you look like $1 million. But it was really cool, that counter where he just like kind of like popped up higher than Owens, tossed him for the power bomb and then hit him with the zigzag. It was cool.
So it was a great match overall. Not too happy with the outcome, but it makes sense. We're just going to get more out of this, which I'm a big fan of. Since we had Charlotte and Natalya on SmackDown, we needed some other divas on Monday Night Raw, the Hulu version of Monday Night Raw. So the divas that Hulu decided were important this week that their spot wouldn't get axed was Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch, which I'm really happy about.
Yeah, that's exciting.
That's exciting. Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch also wrestled in NXT, where Sasha Banks successfully defended the NXT Women's title against Becky Lynch in her only shot for the NXT Women's title before they got called up to the main roster.
That was a really good match, too.
It was a really good match. So it was great to see, basically, the sequel. Obviously, the commentators did not mention it or build it up in any way, shape, or form to be a sequel.
Oh, no. I mean, and it was, hopefully that's not a sequel. No, it was a really short match. It wasn't bad. They were good, but you know that match was all about storytelling, not the match, which was good because I mean you were excited at the beginning because not only do we get to see Sasha on Hulu, but you know she's coming out to her own theme music on her own, and we had like a pretty I don't know about big, but you know like a fairly big happening before that match.
So she comes out to her music, doing her thing, and then the rest of Team Bad comes out. Yeah, remember, she was part of a team. So Naomi and Tamina come out, and they're like, yo, what's up, boo? Look what you're doing. And talking as horrible as they could sound.
Yeah, it really felt like they were trying to remember a script.
Yeah, it was forced. It was too bad, but whatever. At least they got time or whatever. It was great to see more, you know, female wrestlers. I do enjoy the female wrestling division, you know, in the WWE and the NXT, especially more in NXT. But anyway, back to the whole Naomi thing. She's asking what's up with Sasha, and Sasha pretty much tells her and Tamina flat out, like, yo, I need to be on my own. I can't be in a team anymore. This whole Team Bad thing, it's not working out for me. I need to spread my wings. I need to do my own thing. So Naomi and Tamina were like, we understand, you know.
Yeah, like, that's cool. Like, we'll still have your back.
We'll still have your back. And they did a little Team Bad, you know.
That unity
thing. And then Becky Lynch came out for the match. The match was going well, like we said. And then the whole match ended up with a bunch of interference. What happened was Becky got thrown outside. Naomi and Tamina decided to start beating up on Becky. Sasha rolls out. And she's like, what are you doing? I could take care of her myself. And they're like, oh, what do you mean? I thought you wanted us to have your back. She's like, yeah, just to like be friends with me. I don't need your help. Like,
yeah, she's like, I got this. This is my match.
Yeah, I didn't even tell you to wait out here. So she's like, go away. You know, she goes back into the ring to like basically finish up Becky. And then Tamina and Naomi grab Sasha and yank her out of the ring. Ref calls for the bell, and they start stomping her out. So they obviously don't have her back anymore.
Yeah, so Team Bad's done.
Team Bad's done.
I'm fine with.
Which I'm totally fine with. And of course, you know, Becky Lynch is watching this, so what does the ultimate babyface of the WWE do?
She helps out.
She helps out. She jumps in and helps out Sasha Banks. Even though right now they hate each other storyline-wise in the WWE.
Yeah, like this woman beat me up like a week ago or so. You know, this isn't right. It's such a small thing, but it wasn't right what was happening to Sasha, and Becky was just like, I gotta kind of stop this.
And it was great storytelling, and it's really good because before, when all the women were fighting in these segregated teams and everyone was like, and this is what the Divas Revolution is about, that wasn't what it was about. No. This is what it's about. Now it's a revolution. All these women are on their own. There's no more teams. You don't have to worry about Team PCB, Team Bella, Team Bad. No, just females wrestling, all going for the same thing, the title. They need to do that because right now Charlotte's running out of people.
Yeah, and in the end, that's what it should always be about. They should all want to be champion.
Exactly.
But it was a cool segment, and you know, like they fight him off on the end at the end, and it's just Becky and Sasha in the ring. And I hope it's just kind of like that's the end of it. I really hope it's a matter of Becky was just like it was wrong what they were doing, and that's it. I don't want them to like start talking to each other backstage or any of that kind of stuff.
No, I don't want them to break up
mutual respect.
Yeah, I don't want them to break up a 3-woman tag team to make a two-woman team.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Yeah, just to end up getting Becky and Sasha together, you know, just like it was, you know, what was being done to you was wrong, I had to stop it, you know.
And let's move on from here. Let me punch you in the face and let's keep fighting.
Yeah, like, you know, we both want to be the women's champ. I really hope that's where that ends up going, but it was a cool segment, and just so small and effective to make Becky look really good, I thought.
A bunch of other stuff happened on Monday Night Raw, but we're not going to talk about it because it didn't really tickle our fancy, or we just don't find it important yet.
Yeah, nothing yet. Brock Lesnar, F5, Dean Ambrose. There, we don't have to talk about it.
Nah, he basically gave him his answer after he cut that nasty promo on him earlier on in the show.
Yeah, it was a fun storytelling device the whole night. Oh, Ambrose is trying to bluff you. You're going to call his bluff. And in the end, Brock Lesnar came out and F5'd him.
You know what? Let's go back to that whole opening segment real quick. The thing about that segment was, once Dean Ambrose cut his promo, once he said what he had to say, that was it. Segment was done. It left Heyman looking somewhat speechless in the ring. It left Lesnar having a smirk on his face, like, I can't even be mad at this man. Like, he praised me so well, but then also told me that he's gonna beat me.
Like, good for him.
Yeah, good for him.
I'm looking forward to destroying this man.
Yeah, you know, he's like, you know what? I will actually enjoy playing with my food this time around, which is fantastic. So that's how much of an impact Dean Ambrose had on Lesnar. Especially a huge one.
It affected his dinner.
Yeah, it affected his dinner to the point where he had to run down and F5 him before, you know, it was time to eat.
It's cool that Ambrose isn't running, and you need to do something to establish Brock. So you know, he's the big strong man at the end of the episode.
With Brock Lesnar standing tall at the end of Monday Night Raw, and us still on this highway, Fastlane.
Ooh, I like
this
it.
highway Fastlane to WrestleMania. Why is Eva Marie on that poster cover? What's going on there? Anyway.
Because she's a looker.
Well, we should be on the posters too, because we are two damn good lookers.
Yeah, we're pretty.
Yeah, and if you're wondering how pretty we are, you could follow me on Instagram at SoSaysNatal. Follow me also on Twitter at SoSaysNatal1. If you want to contribute to the Podcast Championship Wrestling or the So Says Natal podcast, or if you want to get in contact with Steve...
that's not happening.
No,
that's not happening. No. Don't worry about that one.
We were going to bring it back because we thought maybe we would actually have a different answer, but we don't. But email us at sosaysnatal@gmail.com. Keep making that Facebook page go strong, people, with facebook.com/SoSaysNatal. Don't forget, you can find this podcast on Stitcher, SoundCloud, and iTunes. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, give us 5 stars, tell your friends. Thank you, everyone around the world who listens to us, and that is not an exaggeration. Me and Steve were looking up the stats.
Yeah,
so it was amazing. So thank you, United Kingdom, Brazil, Germany, Egypt, Mars, Venus,
Gallifrey,
and the rest of the Time Lords that are out there. And this is the end of episode 28 of Podcast Championship Wrestling. This is Natal saying goodbye for Steve. And remember, we have 2,000 more than you.
The winners of this bout, and still PCW Tag Team Champions, the men of 2,000 holds, Natal and Steve.
Why you made me turn around? We have 2 strong wrestlers. See, I just ruined my whole thing. You made me watch Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan. Like, Jesus.